Welcome to Shredder Fanfic. Like, subscribe, and hype video. Join members to gain early access to new videos.
The main character, after dying in his previous life, he wakes up as Sukuna from JJK and he wakes up inside of Hazbin Hotel. What is Sukuna gonna do inside of Hazbin Hotel?
Hazbin Hotel. Reborn as Sukuna become the Overlord of Destruction. Chapter 1. Ash and Static. When I opened my eyes, I was staring at a cracked sky. Black clouds shifted like muscle. The air was thick, filled with heat that strung my lungs. I sat up slowly, dirt falling from my shoulders, the stench of rot heavy in the air. My head throbbed, my body unfamiliar. I looked down at my hands, thin, pale fingers. This wasn't my body. The skin was smoother, the joints sharper. Then the energy hit me. It wasn't normal. It was ancient, heavy, and violent. Cursed energy, my cursed energy. I laughed quietly, low in my throat. The sound that came out wasn't mine. It was deeper, sharper, like a predator's growl. I moved to the side of a broken mirror, half buried in the ash. The face that looked back was young, dark-haired, cold-eyed. Megumi Fushiguro. But the grin that pulled across his lips wasn't his. It was mine. So this was the form I woke up in. Sukuna's power pulsed under my skin, responding to every breath. I wasn't trapped. I wasn't suppressed. I was in full control. The sky rumbled above. The ground split in places. The city around me looked like a rotting maze of metal and flame. Demons walked freely, their bodies twisted, their voices loud. Streets burned and buildings leaned like broken bones. I took a breath and tasted smoke. Hell, I said flatly. Figures. It looked close enough to it. Everything reeked of sin, violence, decay. I walked forward, each step kicking up grey dust. The air shimmered faintly around me, residual energy leaking with each movement. Then I felt eyes on me. Ahead, 3 figures stood near a pile of ruined cars. One of them had a television for a head, static flickering across his screen like restless lightning. Another was a woman dressed in pink, her smile wide and sharp. The last was tall, cigarette hanging from his mouth, his clothes bright and ridiculous. I recognized them instantly. Vox, Velvet, Valentino. Hazbin Hotel. So that's where I ended up. I couldn't help the grin spreading across my face. Well, that's something. The television-headed one, Vox, noticed me first. His screen flickered brighter, blue glow tightening like an eye narrowing. Hey, his voice crackled, mechanical but sharp. What the hell are you staring at? I tilted my head slightly. You. He stared, static buzzing louder. You got a problem, kid? No, I said, voice calm, unhurried. I was just curious what happens when I do this. I raised my hand, fingers flicking outward. Dismantle. The attack was invisible. The air cracked once. The ground under my feet trembled. Vox barely had time to move. His chest erupted with sparks, his screen splitting as the edge of the curse tore across him. A blast of static burst from his speakers, his voice distorting into raw noise. Velvet jumped back with a shout. Valentino froze, eyes wide behind his shades. Vox dropped to one knee, smoke pouring from the gash in his side. You son of a bitch. I stared at him for a second, watching the damage pulse and fizzle. He was still alive, impressive enough. Still breathing, I said, smiling faintly. Then you're lucky. I turned away without another glance. Not because I spared him, because I didn't care. If he died, he'd die. If not, fine, this was hell. Death didn't mean much here. Wait, hey, Velvet shouted after me, voice rising. What the hell was that for? I didn't look back. For fun, I said, my tone flat, disinterested. Don't take it personally. I heard Valentino curse under his breath. Vox's static voice glitched. You're dead, before cutting into noise. I smiled again, amused. I walked on. The city stretched endlessly, noise and fire everywhere. I passed demons of all shapes. Some looked half-human, others like piles of muscle and bone. They glanced at me, then quickly turned away. They could feel it, the cursed energy leaking off me, sharp and suffocating. I stopped near a collapsed billboard. Its sign read Pride Ring Central in cracked neon. So that was where I was, the center of hell's power. Overlords ran this place. The princess ran her little hotel somewhere nearby. I remembered enough about them from the show to know the names. Charlie, Alastair, Angel Dust. I chuckled softly. A good hunting ground then. The sound of running footsteps made me glance to the side. A small demon, grey-skinned with trembling wings, stumbled out of an alley. Sir, you shouldn't be here. The overlords can come if they want, I interrupted, my voice dropping lower. I'll be waiting. The air around me rippled faintly, cursed energy vibrating through the stone. The demon froze in terror and backed away. I turned my head slightly, watching it flee. This place was chaos. No order. No curse users, no exorcists, no jujutsu society. Just monsters pretending to rule other monsters. A grin pulled at my lips. I think I'll enjoy this. I kept walking, tracing the flow of energy through my new body. It responded smoothly. Megumi's form had adjusted to my presence perfectly. I could feel the power of 10 shadows deep inside, balanced and waiting, ready to be used. My cursed technique had lost none of its precision. I tried another test. A flick of my finger. The street ahead split open, debris scattering like dust. A few demons screamed and ran. I watched the crack close slowly, then stopped. No need to waste energy. I looked around. Hell's skyline glowed faintly red now. Far in the distance, I could see a tall building glowing pink. That would be the hotel. I smirked. Maybe later. For now, I wanted to see what counted as strong in this world. Behind me, I felt a faint pulse. Vox's energy, scattered but still active. He was alive. That meant he was angry. I could almost hear him shouting orders, probably sending messages through his static networks, telling other overlords that some new bastard had attacked him. Good, let him spread the word. I wanted this place to know my name. I stopped at the edge of a bridge where molten light flowed under cracked metal. The air shimmered with heat. I leaned against the railing, eyes watching the burning river below. This world was filth, but it was free of the rules that annoyed me before. No jujutsu sorcerers, no gojo, no pathetic brats pretending to be heroes. Just power, raw and simple. Someone approached. The click of heels echoed behind me. You're new, a voice said, smooth, mocking female, and already causing trouble. That's impressive. I didn't turn. You got a problem with that. A short laugh. Not really, but you hurt one of the V's. Vox isn't the forgiving type. I finally glanced back. Velvet stood a few meters away, arms crossed, her pink outfit glowing faintly under the neon. She smiled, but there was tension in her stance. He'll want payback, she continued. You might want to watch your back. I smiled faintly. Let him come. Maybe he'll survive twice. Her grin faltered slightly. You talk big. I am big, I said simply, compared to the trash here. She clicked her tongue and shook her head. You're cocky, I like that, but hell eats cocky people fast. Then it'll choke on me. Velvet stared for a moment, then laughed again, short, sharp, uncertain. Whatever you say, pretty boy, just remember whose turf you're walking on. She turned and started to leave, heels clicking against the metal. I watched her go, expression calm. The air settled again. I looked back at the river. Flames rolled lazily beneath it, the reflection of the city glowing in the molten light. I could feel something inside me stirring. Power wanted release. Hell was the perfect playground. I stepped away from the railing, heading deeper into the city. Chapter 2. The Overlord's Fall. The city never slept. It pulsed, constant, loud, alive with screams and laughter. The smell of sulfur clung to everything. I walked through it, hands in my pockets, bored. Every lesser demon I passed moved aside without me saying a word. They could feel the weight of my cursed energy even when I kept it low. I wanted something stronger, someone who might at least take a few hits. Word had already spread. I could hear them whispering about the stranger who cut Vox in half. He's insane, some said. He's new, others answered. I ignored them all. Weak things talking about things beyond them. I stopped at the edge of the market district. Neon lights flickered over torn banners. A heavy smell of sugar and smoke drifted from the center. That's when I saw her. Rosie. I recognized her from memory, one of the overlords, always calm, polite, with that smile that never left her face. She stood behind a counter, arranging cakes and teacups as if hell wasn't burning around her. Her shop was untouched, the only clean place in miles. I grinned faintly. Perfect. I walked toward her, slow and steady. Her eyes lifted the moment my shadow fell across the doorway. Now, she said kindly. I don't recall inviting you in, dear. Her voice was smooth, motherly even. She set a cup down gently, hands graceful. You're new here, aren't you? I've heard of you already, the one who hurt Vox. I stopped a few feet from a counter. So you've heard, I said. Good, saves me the trouble of introductions. She smiled slightly, eyes sharp even behind her soft expression. You seem to enjoy trouble. I enjoy killing things that talk too much. Her smile stayed, but her tone cooled. Then perhaps you should have stayed in your own ring. Maybe, but you'll do. I raised my right hand. Energy flooded my arm. Fuga. The cursed slash screamed through the air toward her. Rosie moved faster than I expected. Her body flickered, a blur of pink and black. The blast hit the wall behind her and split it cleanly in half, smoke filling the shop. When the dust cleared, she stood on the counter, holding a long, glowing ribbon in her hand. It pulsed like a whip. You're not the first violent one to find me, she said calmly. I suggest you leave while you still can. I smiled wider. You dodged it. Impressive. I don't like to make a mess, she replied. I tilted my head. You think you're strong because you can dodge once. Don't make me laugh. I took one step forward. The air changed. My cursed energy filled the room completely. The wood cracked under the pressure. Her smile faltered for the first time. You're not strong enough, I said flatly. I can tell. She flicked her wrist, the ribbon snapping toward me. I caught it midair with 2 fingers and pulled, yanking her across the counter. She gasped as her body hit the floor hard. You should have stayed quiet. Cleave. The slash tore through her instantly. No time for her to scream. No time to resist. The upper half of her body fell against the counter, the lower half collapsed beside it. Her blood steamed as it hit the ground. I stared down at her. One shot, I said quietly. Told you. I turned away, brushing dust from my sleeve. The silence in the shop was heavy. The smell of blood mixed with sugar from the cakes she'd been making. I took one step toward the door before I felt it, something powerful approaching, steady and deliberate. The air itself started to hum. I smiled faintly. Finally. A voice came from outside, cheerful but edged with malice. My, that wasn't very polite. I stepped out into the street. Alastair was waiting there. The radio demon himself, smiling wide, microphone cane in hand, static humming faintly around him. He looked exactly as I remembered him from the show, neat, composed, that constant grin. Only his eyes gave away the anger. He looked past me at the shop. His smile didn't fade, but his tone dropped an octave. You've made quite the mess of my dear Rosie. I shrugged. She wasn't very entertaining. He chuckled once, a static-laced sound. I see, so you're the one stirring up trouble in my city. Your city, I stepped closer. I don't see your name on it. Alastair's grin widened. Ah, but I don't need to write it down. Everyone here knows. He spun his cane once, the air distorting faintly. Normally, I'd offer tea before a fight, but you seem more the impatient sort. I don't drink tea. I raised my right hand. Let's see if you're worth my time. Alastair's grin flickered with amusement. By all means. I snapped my fingers. The shadows behind me twisted, forming a circle of black energy etched with the marks of 10 shadows. The ground cracked open, and from the darkness rose Mahoraga, massive, towering, spinning wheel glowing behind its head. The demon's arrival shook the street. Alastair stopped spinning his cane. His smile stayed, but the static around him surged, sharper now. "Well," he said softly, "that's new." Mahoraga's head turned slowly toward him, wheel spinning faster. Alastair raised his cane. "Let's make this interesting, shall we?" Mahoraga moved first. It charged, each step cracking the ground. Alastair vanished in a burst of distortion, reappearing on a lamppost, laughing. "Marvelous speed," he said brightly. "But can you dance?" Mahoraga's sword came down. The lamppost shattered, sparks flying. Alastair landed lightly on the street again, static flaring across his body as he shot a wave of energy. Mahoraga blocked it with his blade. I watched, arms crossed. The fight shook the buildings. Debris rained down. Every time Alastair attacked, Mahoraga adjusted, its wheel turning, adapting instantly. Alastair noticed. His grin tightened slightly. Adaptive magic, is it? How curious. Mahoraga lunged again, swinging horizontally this time. Alastair's static burst outward like a shockwave, pushing against the strike. The sound was deafening. I could see the effort in his posture now, still smiling, but his movements sharper, more careful. I stood back calm. "He's strong," I muttered, "but not strong enough." Mahoraga slashed again, faster this time. Alastair's cane split into static ribbons that blocked the strike, but each block threw him back further. "You're quite the creature," Alastair said, laughing through the strain. "But let's see how you handle this." He vanished again, appearing behind Mahoraga and unleashing a wave of distorted sound, so intense it cracked nearby windows. Mahoraga stumbled slightly, the wheel spinning faster in response. Then it adapted, its energy shifting, and it turned to strike. The next hit connected. Alastair's body was thrown across the street, smashing through a wall. The ground quaked from the impact. I laughed once, low and pleased. "That's better." Smoke billowed from the hole in the wall. Then static crackled again, and Alastair stepped out. His clothes were torn, his smile still fixed in place. "Oh, delightful," he said cheerfully. "You've brought me a challenge." He lifted his cane again. "I do love a good challenge." Mahoraga charged again. Alastair met it head-on this time, laughter echoing through the static. The street turned into a battlefield, energy clashing, buildings collapsing. I stood and watched, calm, curious. Mahoraga adjusted faster with each exchange. Alastair kept smiling, but I could feel the strain in the air. For several minutes they fought, steel against static, curse against chaos. The city burned around them. When the dust finally began to settle, Mahoraga stood unscathed, wheel spinning slowly. Alastair was kneeling, breathing heavier now, his coat singed, his grin thinner. He looked up at me. "You've quite the pet," he said, voice still polite. "He's not a pet," I answered flatly. "He's my blade." Alastair chuckled quietly. "Then I'll have to remember that." He stood again, adjusting his tie. "But I think that's enough fun for one evening, don't you?" "Running away?" I asked. He smiled wider. "Retreating. Even I know when to bow to entertainment greater than mine." He tapped his cane once. The static flared, and his body faded into the air, leaving only the sound of radio hiss behind. I stared at the empty space where he'd stood. Mahoraga turned toward me, waiting. I dismissed him with a flick of my hand. He vanished back into shadow, the ground sealing shut. The street was silent again. Smoke rose from broken buildings. Rosie's shop burned in the distance. I looked around once, satisfied. This place might be fun after all. I started walking again, the smell of dust and blood heavy in the air. Chapter 3. The Princess and Her Father. The streets were quieter near the edge of Pentagram City. Quieter didn't mean peaceful, just less screaming. The neon lights here flickered softer, gold instead of red. I followed the signs until I saw it. The hotel. Tall, old-fashioned, glowing faintly pink in the haze. The Hazbin Hotel. Its windows were clean, almost human-looking. The front steps were polished. It stood out like a misplaced building from Earth, surrounded by filth. I walked up the stairs and pushed the doors open without knocking. Inside it was bright, too bright. The walls were painted red and gold, decorated with old posters. Demons milled around, laughing and arguing. Angel Dust was sprawled across the couch, smoking. Husk sat behind the counter, half asleep. Nifty was cleaning the walls obsessively. All of them turned when they saw me. Charlie was the first to step forward. She smiled brightly, the kind of smile that looked like it shouldn't exist here. "Hi there, welcome to the Hazbin Hotel. Are you here for redemption?" I stared at her for a few seconds. "Redemption, huh?" "Yes," she said happily. "That's what we do here. Everyone deserves a chance to change." Her tone was pure optimism. I almost laughed already. I stepped closer until we were standing face to face. She barely reached my shoulder. Her eyes were full of hope. "So," she asked cheerfully, "would you like to be redeemed?" I smirked, leaning slightly toward her. "Sure, why not?" Her smile widened even more. "Really?" "Yeah," I let out a short laugh. "Let's say I'm curious." "Then you've come to the right place," she said. "We can start with." I cut her off with another laugh, louder this time. "You really believe that'll work? You think anyone down here can be fixed?" She blinked, confused but still smiling faintly. "Of course, I have to believe that." I straightened up, still laughing quietly. "You're an idiot, but a cute one." Her expression flickered, just a little. "You don't mean that." "I do," I said simply. "But don't worry, I won't break your toy hotel." Angel Dust, watching from the couch, whistled. "Well, ain't he charming?" he said lazily. "New guy, got attitude." "Shut it," I said without looking at him. My tone made him sit up slightly, frown forming. Charlie frowned faintly now. "You don't have to be rude." "Down here," I said. "Rude is the same as breathing." Her optimism dimmed for a second, then came back. "You'll see. Maybe once you stay a while, you'll understand." I looked around the lobby again. Clean, orderly, useless. The air shifted suddenly. A faint pulse. Familiar, strong. I turned my head slightly. Alastair. He was somewhere upstairs, his energy faint but present. Watching. Always watching. I could feel his grin even without seeing him. I didn't care. If he wanted another fight, he'd come. Charlie was still talking, explaining the rules, how the hotel worked, what she believed in. I half listened, amused. Then the air changed again, heavier, older. A door at the far end opened, and the temperature of the room seemed to shift. Lucifer, Morningstar, walked in. The room went still instantly. Every demon in sight stopped moving. Even Angel Dust froze. Lucifer looked exactly as I remembered him. Tall, sharp, elegant, smiling faintly with that lazy confidence that came with knowing he ruled the place. His cane clicked softly against the floor as he walked, his suit pristine white and red. Charlie gasped softly, surprised. "Dad." He smiled, eyes warm but distant. "My little star," he said. "It's been a while." She rushed to him and hugged him tightly. He patted her back, still smiling, though his eyes were somewhere else. Then he looked around the hotel. His gaze passed over everyone, then settled on me for a brief second. It lingered, sharp, then moved back to his daughter. "So," he said softly, "this is your project." Charlie nodded, bright again. "Yes, isn't it wonderful?" Lucifer looked at the lobby, the decorations, the hopeful banners on the wall. His smile didn't change, but something in his expression did. "It's quaint," he said. "You've worked hard." "Thank you," Charlie said, beaming. Lucifer's tone stayed gentle. "But my dear, you know this won't work." Charlie's expression faltered. "What?" Lucifer sighed lightly. Sinners are here for a reason. They don't change. This place might make you feel better, but it won't change them. That's not true, she said quickly. It can. I've seen progress. He raised an eyebrow. Progress. Yes, she insisted. We've been trying. Angel's been working hard and… Lucifer interrupted softly. You're wasting your time, Charlotte. The silence that followed was heavy. Charlie's voice dropped. Dad. I leaned back against the wall, arms crossed, watching. Lucifer glanced my way again. And who's this? Charlie turned. Oh, this is… he just came in. He said he wanted to be redeemed. Lucifer studied me for a long moment, eyes calm but cold. You don't seem the type. I smiled slightly. You're right. His gaze narrowed faintly. Then why come here? Curiosity, I said. Wanted to see the famous princess of hell for myself. You should be proud. She's stubborn. Charlie looked between us, uncertain. Thank you. Lucifer's tone stayed smooth. And what do you think of her idea? I met his eyes directly. It's stupid. Charlie's shoulders tensed. Lucifer's lips twitched faintly, amused. At least we agree on something, he said. I smirked. Don't get comfortable. I'm not on your side. Lucifer's cane clicked once as he shifted his weight. You have quite the mouth. Better than having delusions, I said, nodding toward Charlie. You've let her dream too long. Watch it, Angel Dust muttered from behind me. I ignored him. Lucifer's smile stayed. You speak boldly for a stranger in my presence. I speak how I want, I said simply. Lucifer tilted his head slightly. And if I told you to stop? Then you'd have to make me. The air between us thickened for a moment, heavy with power. Lucifer's eyes glowed faintly, golden light pulsing behind them. The floor creaked softly. Charlie stepped between us quickly, hands raised. Wait, please don't fight. This is supposed to be a place of peace. Lucifer looked down at her, his tone softening instantly. I'm not fighting, my dear. I grinned faintly. He's just trying to remind himself he's still the king. Lucifer's eyes flicked toward me again. You mock easily. It's easy when it's true, I said. Charlie looked at me, frustrated. You're not helping. I shrugged, wasn't trying to. Lucifer sighed, glancing around the room again. You see, this is what I mean. You can't redeem people like him. Charlie looked up at him desperately. But maybe. No, Lucifer interrupted. His tone wasn't cruel, just final. They are what they are. You can't change hell's nature. I pushed off the wall, straightening. She'll learn eventually, I said quietly. Everyone does. Charlie looked hurt but determined. I won't stop trying. Lucifer smiled faintly. You have your mother's heart. He turned toward the door. I only came to see you, not to argue. Charlie reached out. Dad, please. He stopped, looked back at her. Take care, Charlotte. Just don't let this place destroy you. Then he started walking toward the exit. I watched him go, then called out lazily. You sure you're done preaching? He paused at the doorway. You're an odd one, he said softly. Powerful, but empty. I smiled wider. Empty's better than weak. He gave me one last calm glance. We'll see. Then he left. The doors closed behind him. The tension broke. Charlie exhaled slowly, shoulders slumping. Sorry, she said quietly, glancing at me. He's protective. I nodded slightly. He's right about one thing. You'll waste your life trying to fix this dump. She looked at me, still stubborn. I don't care. I'll keep trying. I smirked. Then keep trying. Just don't cry when it breaks. Charlie didn't answer. She turned away, walking toward her office. Angel Dust whistled low. Man, you sure know how to ruin a room's mood. I looked at him. And yet you're still talking. He frowned, then shrugged. Fair enough. Husk muttered from behind the counter, voice low and tired. Great. Another loudmouth. I started walking toward the door. I'm done here. Nifty darted up to me suddenly, smiling too wide. You'll come back, right? You seem fun. I looked down at her briefly. Maybe. She giggled nervously and darted away. I stepped outside into the night again. The air felt cooler. From the roof, I could sense Alastair's energy faintly, still watching. I didn't bother looking up. Let him watch. Let them all talk. This place wasn't salvation. It was entertainment. I walked down the steps and into the street, the sound of laughter and fire filling the distance again. Chapter 4. The King of Hell Strikes Back. Lucifer walked in silence, Cain tapping the stone with the same calm rhythm. The firelight from the city bent away from him, shadows pulling back as if afraid. I followed behind him, hands in my pockets. You planning to walk forever? He stopped near a dry fountain, straightened his hat, and turned. You really should stop testing me. Why? I raised my hand. Cleave. The cursed slash tore across the distance and struck his chest. His coat split. Golden blood rolled down before sealing shut. Lucifer stared at the mark, then at me. That shouldn't have hit. Looks like your law doesn't apply to me. He blinked once, realization setting in. You're not a sinner. Right. His grip on his cane tightened. His smile faded. Then I can fight you. I grinned, teeth showing. Finally. He moved first, vanishing and reappearing beside me. His cane came down fast, glowing white. I blocked with my forearm. The impact sent a burst of heat across the street. I slid back several feet and laughed. That's more like it. Lucifer stepped forward again, no hesitation now. He swung horizontally. The strike cut a deep line through the road, molten light following the path. I jumped above it, landed behind him, and swung my hand. Dismantle. The slash hit, slicing through part of his wing and arm. He grunted quietly, golden sparks sealing the wound instantly. He turned, eyes glowing sharp red now. You're powerful, he said. And you're talkative, I replied. He thrust his cane forward. A column of gold shot toward me. I ducked low, the blast cutting through a row of buildings behind me. The sound was deafening. Lucifer flicked his wrist again. Dozens of energy rings formed in the air, shooting beams toward me. I countered each one with a cleave, breaking the light apart into chunks of molten stone. The ground shook. He appeared in front of me again. I barely saw the movement before his foot connected with my ribs. The hit sent me through a wall. I crashed through, flipped midair, and landed on one knee. My laughter echoed through the dust. You can actually fight. Lucifer's tone stayed steady. I'm the ruler of hell for a reason. I stood, rolling my shoulders. Then show me that reason. He exhaled, eyes glowing brighter. Fine. He lifted his cane. The sky above turned white. Spears of pure light formed, stretching from horizon to horizon. Fall. They dropped all at once. I met them head-on, tearing through the rain of spears with dismantle after dismantle. The air burned. The last spear hit, and I deflected it with a backhand strike that sent golden shards flying. When the smoke cleared, Lucifer was already mid-swing. His cane met my open palm. The force cracked the pavement under us. I twisted, grabbed the cane, and yanked him forward. My knee hit his stomach. The air left his lungs in a short grunt. He recovered instantly, wings flashing open again. He slashed upward, cutting across my chest. I looked down at the wound and grinned. That all? Lucifer's tone hardened. You enjoy this far too much. Because you can finally hit back, I said. He appeared above me and slammed his heel down. I moved just enough for the strike to break the ground instead of my skull. He followed with another swing. I blocked with one hand, grabbed his wrist, and threw him into the fountain. Stone shattered. Lucifer rose from the debris, coat torn, breath even. You're not a demon. You're not human. What are you? I stepped toward him. The one who kills anything that gets in my way. His wings spread fully, light cutting across the entire courtyard. The heat pressed against my skin, strong enough to melt stone. Then you found your match. He fired a beam wider than the street itself. I braced, cursed energy swirling in both arms. Fuga. The attacks collided, the shockwave flattening everything around us. The city skyline burned white for a second before color returned. Lucifer stood his ground, one foot sliding back slightly. I walked out of the smoke, unharmed, grinning. You actually survived that. You call that surviving, he said, brushing ash from his coat. You're still standing. He gave a small nod. So are you. We moved at the same time. The ground vanished beneath our feet. Cursed energy and divine light tore through the air like thunder. My cleave met his cane, sparks flying. I pushed harder, forcing him back inch by inch until the tip of his shoe hit the wall behind him. He shifted weight, ducked low, and swung upward again. The blade of light grazed my jaw. I turned my head, laughing through it. Lucifer's hand tightened around his weapon. You're enjoying this too much. It's been too long since someone could hit me properly. He flicked his wrist. The cane extended into a long spear. He thrust. I caught it under my arm and snapped it in half. The broken ends burned in my hand. Lucifer didn't react, simply summoning the weapon back to its full shape. You don't stop. I don't need to. I kicked off the ground, drove my elbow into his shoulder, and followed with a cleave that ripped through half the square. The explosion threw both of us apart. He landed on one knee, breathing hard. I stood across from him, unbothered. Lucifer wiped the blood from his mouth with the back of his hand. You're the first in centuries to make me bleed. Get used to it. He exhaled once, calm again. I could end you if I broke the boundary between heaven and hell. Then do it. He stared at me. Not yet. Coward. He smiled faintly, the old calm returning. No, I'm waiting for the right reason. I started walking toward him again, slow and deliberate. You'll run out of reasons soon. Lucifer looked up at the still-burning sky. If you keep this up, the others will come. Good, I said. I'll kill them too. He lifted his cane again, eyes glowing. Let's see if you can. The next clash split the city's edge in half, light and curse, energy flooding the air until neither of us could see the ground. Chapter 5. Malevolent Ring. The light and my cursed energy crashed together again and again. Every hit shook the stone under our feet. Heat rolled out in waves from Lucifer. My slashes carved through streets and buildings without slowing. We stood at the center of a ruined block. The fountain was gone. Half the nearby buildings were cracked or half collapsed. The air smelled of dust, ash, and something sharp from his power. The skyline of Pentagram City burned in the distance. Lucifer straightened his coat once. It was torn through the chest and sleeves. His tie was out of place. Golden blood stained the corner of his mouth. His eyes stayed calm, but they were focused in a way they hadn't been before. You're still standing, he said. So are you, I answered. He lifted his cane a little. I thought you'd break already. I laughed. I thought you'd run already. He exhaled through his nose, a small sound. Then we were both wrong. We stared at each other for a few breaths. Energy rippled around both of us. Mine was heavy and sharp, pressing down on everything. His was bright and hot, pushing against mine. He was strong, strong enough to be interesting, strong enough to be worth something real. Fine, I said, smile stretching wider. You're not trash. You get to see it. Lucifer's eyes narrowed faintly. See what? I spread my arms slightly. Cursed energy surged from the center of my chest, out through every pore. The pressure multiplied, dense and crushing. The air bent under it. The world blurred. Domain expansion. The space around us split open. Walls of blackness and flesh rolled outward for hundreds of meters, then further, until the whole center of the Pride Ring sat under my influence. Buildings near us warped and vanished from my sight as my field overwrote them. Malevolent shrine. The ground changed. Stone turned into rough, uneven surfaces etched with lines of my will. Red and black patterns ran in every direction. The air was thick with the sure hit effect. Everything living inside the area fell into my grasp. Far outside the courtyard, demons screamed. Anything weak inside the radius started falling apart, skin opening in clean, thin cuts. Streets for blocks began to split under invisible blades. Lucifer didn't fall. He stood at the center of it all, coat and hair whipping under the pressure, eyes locked on mine. His aura flared in response, trying to push back. "That's new," he said quietly. His voice tightened. "You've bent the ring into your own zone." "That's right," I said. "In here, everything dies when I say so." I flicked a finger. A row of buildings 2 streets over collapsed at the same time, sliced in several perfect pieces. The sound reached us a moment later, a deep crash from stone and steel. Lucifer's jaw tensed. He lifted his cane, planted it in the ground, and poured power into it. "You're cutting through my realm. That is not acceptable." "Complain harder." The sure hit effect of my domain locked onto him. My slashes didn't need precise aim anymore. The system of cutting adjusted on its own. Cleave for durable and strong. Dismantle for weak and structure. I chose cleave. Invisible cuts opened across his arms and chest. Thin at first, then deeper. Golden blood spilled and evaporated in the heat of his own power. Lucifer's expression finally sharpened. "So that's how it works." "You don't need to understand it," I said. "You just need to die in it." He raised his hand. The sky inside my domain shifted to pure white. Light pressed down from above, thick and heavy. The usual red glow of hell vanished. Instead, a ceiling of raw, divine power formed over the entire affected area, pushing down on my barrier. "Then I will answer properly," Lucifer said. The weight of his presence increased. I felt the pride ring itself react. The ground under us shook with something deeper than vibration. Hell recognized what he was doing. He spread his arms slightly. "I will not let you carve up my city without resistance." Columns of pure, focused light descended from that ceiling, slamming into the ground. They were not random shots. They were focused onto points of structural support, locking onto the anchors of my domain. Where they struck, my walls bent. The slashes from my sure hit effect cut him again, one across his cheek, one down his side, one over his forearm. His body healed them with steady golden flashes, but not instantly. I saw the delay. I saw the strain. He endured them. His face stayed set, eyes hard. "You can bleed all day," I said. "The domain will keep going." "Then I change the battleground," he replied. He drove his cane fully into the ground. Golden circles spread outward under his feet. They grew until they touched the edges of malevolent shrine. His influence and mine collided. The floor cracked from holding both. Overhead, the white ceiling split. Rifts opened into some blinding height beyond hell's sky. No winged figures came through, but the pressure of that place poured in. The entire pride ring hummed with tension. The sure hit continued. Every few seconds, a fresh set of cuts appeared across his body. His clothes tore piece by piece. His chest was soon covered in marks. His wings flickered in and out, strained. His movements grew slower, but his presence did not weaken in proportion. Something held him up. His voice stayed level. "I will not allow you to butcher the souls in my charge, just to entertain yourself." I snorted. "You can't stop it." He looked around, gaze moving across the wider destruction. Even far away, I felt demons dropping. Overlords, districts felt the shake. My domain cut anything in range without hesitation. Lucifer clenched his jaw. Then I raise it higher. His energy surged again, beyond what he had used so far. The white sky above my domain thickened. The weight increased. This time it pressed not just on the edges, but all the way down into the core of my expansion. My walls trembled. For the first time since I cast it, Malevolent Shrine felt resistance that mattered. My grin widened. That's it. You finally look worth using this on. He answered without humor. You've killed more in minutes than an extermination wave. I will not let this continue. Then fight harder. He vanished from sight and reappeared right in front of me, wings fully spread. Holy light flooded off him, enough to stain the ground at his feet gold even inside my domain. He swung his cane down with both hands. My arm came up to meet it. Cursed energy reinforced every bone. When the blow landed, the impact tore a crater under us and rippled through the entire area. For a short moment, all sound vanished under the force of it. I dug my feet in and laughed, teeth bared. Good hit. He pushed harder. You won't say that for long. Keep dreaming. I switched to raw physical force for a moment. My other hand drove into his stomach. He coughed blood into my face, golden droplets burning my skin. I twisted my hand, then hurled him outward. He flew backward, smashed through one of my domain's manifested structures, and tumbled across the warped ground. Before he stopped, cuts opened all over him again from the sure hit. He lay there for 2 or 3 seconds, chest rising and falling, then forced himself to stand. His coat was destroyed. Only pieces hung off his shoulders. His bare chest was covered in thin, clean cuts, some still bleeding, others just closing. His eyes were different now. The relaxed amusement and distant royal calm were gone. Only focus remained. You, he said, breathing a little harder, are a problem. Thank you, I replied. He held his cane out to the side. Rings of golden script formed along its length. His wings drew in the remaining light from above, condensing it. You cut everything inside this space, he said, so I will erase the space. Try it. He lifted the cane and drove it straight down. A vertical pillar of radiance shot from the impact point directly upward. It hit the white ceiling he had formed, passed through, and punched into the roof of hell itself. The collision shook the pride ring, and part of my domain cracked. My walls warped and thinned in large sections. The sure hit effect stuttered, then recovered, but at less reach. It narrowed around him and me. The automatic slices on the distant streets halted. Distant demons stopped dying. My smile dimmed just a fraction, so you can strip the outer layers. Lucifer's answer was quiet. I am still the king here. I focused the domain down. The heart of Malevolent Shrine compressed. Buildings that had been included vanished from the space, spit back into normal hell. What remained was a tighter circle. The killing range closed in around Lucifer and me. Fine, I said. We'll keep it small. The sure hit refocused. New cuts scored his shoulders and legs. He stayed standing, jaw locked. Lucifer inhaled slowly, gathering what felt like the whole ring into himself. The white in the false sky dimmed as he drew it down. His presence became suffocating, not divine in some moral sense, simply heavy, old, absolute. This was him taking the ring as far as he could without tearing it apart. This was him accepting that if he held back, I would keep killing. His gaze stayed on my face. You pushed me here. You own that choice. I'm proud of it, I said. We clashed again. He moved faster than before, body reinforced by that compressed authority. Every swing of his cane forced me to use more cursed energy than before just to block it. His strikes carried the weight of hell's structure. My arms tingled from the force, bones humming under the strain. I kept laughing, finally worth 2 hands. He spun under one of my slashes and drove his foot into my ribs. The force broke them. Pain flared, sharp and real. I gritted my teeth and answered with a cleave that cut deep into his side. Both of us slid back. Blood ran down my chin. Golden blood ran down his chest. The ground between us smoked, carved full of lines from curse and scorch from light. Your body is impressive, he said. You've taken more than most could even understand. Yours is still standing, I said, so stop whining. He actually snorted once, very small, You're impossible. I raised my hand again. Dismantle. He answered with another blast from his cane. The two attacks met halfway. The explosion expanded outward and shook what remained of the domain. Cracks spidered through my walls. The suppression from above pushed down again. I felt it then. The limit of my domain in this place with that much external pressure. I could hold it longer. I could keep chewing through the ring and carving deeper into Lucifer. But there was no guarantee this plane would handle both forces without collapsing parts of it. Lucifer felt the same thing. His eyes tilted upward for half a second. He sensed the strain in the frame of his world. His gaze dropped back to me. If we keep going, the damage will spread. Good, I said. He shook his head once, anger finally clear. Not good. My daughter is still in this ring. I clicked my tongue. You really are soft. His grip on the cane tightened until the wood creaked. Even I have lines. I took a breath, chest still throbbing from the broken ribs, then let it out slowly. The thrill of the fight burned through me. The satisfaction of a real clash stayed. He had shown enough, for now. Fine, I said. You gave me more of a workout than these worms. I'll let it stop before the city caves in. His eyes narrowed. You let it stop. Yes, I started to lower my hand. Remember that. He watched, wary but not stopping me. I pulled my cursed energy back in. The heavy pressure receded. The walls of Malevolent Shrine cracked along every line and collapsed. The warped floor dissolved. The air snapped back to normal hell, the red sky returning in full. The sure hit vanished. The screams in the distance faded into normal background noise. The domain was gone. The courtyard remained nothing but a wide, broken crater. Buildings around the area were half-cut, half-melted. Fires burned in several places. In the distance, sirens and demonic noise rose as other entities reacted. Lucifer exhaled, shoulders easing a fraction. Golden light faded from his wings. He retracted them and stood in his ruined clothes, eyeing me with a wary, measuring stare. You stopped, he said. I got bored, I replied. He clearly didn't believe that fully, but he did not argue. You've carved a mark into my ring that will not disappear soon. Good, I want everyone to see it. He adjusted what remained of his collar. They will. Overlords felt that. My daughter felt that. Heaven felt that. I grinned. Then they can all line up. He shook his head once. You are not a piece I can allow to move freely. You can't leash me, I said. Maybe I can't, he replied, but I can plan around you. I scoffed. Try. He lifted his cane lazily, resting it on his shoulder now instead of using it as a weapon. We're finished for tonight. If we continue, the ring will start to fold. I can keep going, I said. He gave me a tired, small smile. I know, that's the problem. We stood in that broken square, both covered in blood, facing each other in the quiet after the storm. His breathing had weight. Mine was steady, humming with leftover excitement. You're insane, he said. You're slow, I answered. For the first time since the fight began, Lucifer chuckled under his breath. It was faint, but real. I have a daughter to calm down, he said, and a mess to fix. Do not go near her while I decide what to do with you. I smirked. You really think you can tell me where to walk? It costs me nothing to try, he said, and it costs everyone else if you ignore me. I shrugged. We'll see. He turned away without another word. His back was straight, his steps steady, even with the damage. Golden light followed his feet in small marks that faded quickly. I watched him leave, wiped the blood from my chin with the back of my hand, and rolled my shoulders. Bones shifted back into place. Pain dulled. Power settled. This place might not be so boring after all, I muttered. The sirens and distant shouts grew closer. I looked toward the city center, toward the hotel's direction, and toward the districts of the other overlords. Plenty left to break. Chapter 6. Broken streets, soft voices. The crater cooled slowly under my feet. Lucifer's presence was gone. The pressure that had pushed against my domain had fully faded. The pride ring still shook in small waves, but that was just the aftershock. The king had walked away, bleeding and quiet. I stood alone in the ruined center, breathing calmly. My ribs ached faintly from where he had kicked through them. The pain felt clean. I rolled my shoulders once and straightened my spine. My body answered without complaint. I looked around at what was left. The courtyard I had first followed him into no longer existed. In its place stretched a wide bowl of cracked stone and dust. Buildings around the area had chunks cut out of them in clean, straight lines. Some leaned at odd angles. Some had already collapsed. Flames burned in scattered pockets. Distant screams drifted across the air, mixed with sirens and the rumble of demons moving. I stepped out of the deepest part of the crater and started walking. Every step crunched broken stone. Debris slid under my boots. Here and there lay bodies of demons who had been unlucky enough to fall inside the range of my domain. Most were cut apart in neat sections. Some still twitched. I passed one that still tried to crawl with half its torso missing. It reached toward me weakly. Its eyes were empty, but its mouth moved. "Help!" it croaked. I looked down at it for a second, then lifted my hand lazily. "Dismantle." The remaining half of its body split and fell still. I stepped over it and kept walking. Street by street, the extent of the damage became clearer. My domain had reached far. Entire blocks were shredded. An avenue had a clean trench running down the middle where my slashes had focused. A tower in the distance was missing its top third. Smoke drifted above everything. Demons crowded at the edges of the most damaged zone, avoiding the center. They pointed and whispered, voices high and nervous. Some scattered the moment I got close. Others stared, eyes wide, then dropped their gazes. I heard snatches of talk. Overlord fight. No, that was bigger. Lucifer, that had to be Lucifer. And something else. Did you see that red light? An extermination early. I pushed through them without slowing down. Anyone in my path stepped aside. A few stared too long, and I let my cursed energy leak just a little. The weaker ones dropped to their knees, shaking. I ignored them. I wanted to see more. I walked down a side street where the impact had been more direct. A small club was sliced in half. Its bar and stools hung exposed at an angle. Bodies lay under the rubble, some crushed, some cut. A demon tried to lift a chunk of concrete off someone's legs. "Move," I said. He looked up at me, confused for a moment, then scowled. "Who the hell are you to tell me?" I raised 2 fingers and flicked them. "Cleave." The slab of concrete, the trapped demon under it, and the idiot shouting all split into neat segments. The nearby wall took a cut too. Silence fell in that corner of the street as fresh blood sprayed the ground. A few nearby demons shrieked. One dropped whatever they were carrying and ran full speed down the block. Another covered their mouth, trying not to retch. I kept walking. A siren car finally rolled up from another direction, slow and cautious. Some kind of hell police, if this place even had that. 3 demons in uniform jumped out. They looked at the damage with stunned faces. "What in the fuck happened here?" one muttered. "Overlord spat," another said. "Had to be." The third pointed at me. "Hey, you, stop right there." I turned my head slightly. "You're in my way." He swallowed once, but kept his tone steady. "We got orders to assess the situation. You need to answer some questions." I stared at him for a moment, then smiled faintly. "Here's your answer." Fuga. The blast flew down the street, clipped the car, and detonated against a half-standing building. The vehicle flipped. The wall blew outward. The 3 demons were thrown off their feet. One hit the pavement and didn't move. Another lay groaning, leg bent the wrong way. The one who had spoken tried to push himself up, coughing blood. I stepped past him. He looked up with wide eyes. "WH, what are you?" he choked. The one who did this, I said. His face froze from shock, then sagged as his mind caught up with reality. I walked on. I cut through another ruined plaza. A bar sign lay smashed. A billboard had been sheared down the middle. Demons picked through the wreckage, looting. Some of them paused when they saw me, then thought better of it and went back to scavenging. The smart ones refused to meet my eyes. Every now and then I saw someone strong enough to stand upright in the damage zone without flinching. Those ones interested me. I let my gaze linger on them a little longer. One particularly bulky demon with horns and glowing markings squared his shoulders as I passed. His aura was thicker than most. Overlord material, or at least high level. He smirked, trying to look superior. "You walking through my turf, kid. This block's mine." I stopped, then turned to face him fully. "Is that so?" He jutted his chin toward the ruined plaza. This is a good excuse for a tax increase. Everyone here pays me extra now." Blood on the ground, body still warm. His eyes shone with greed instead of fear, not even a flicker of concern. I felt a small, satisfied spark in my chest. At least he acted like a true hell creature. I raised my hand. "Name." He scoffed. "Rodak." "Never heard of you," I said. "Stay that way." He stepped forward, offended. "You got no idea who you're moo." "Cleave." His words cut off, literally. His torso separated from his lower body in one clean line. His arms fell. His head rolled off, eyes frozen mid-anger. The demons that had been watching all went silent. A few backed away several steps, bumping into broken walls and tripping over rubble. "Keep your turf," I said, voice bored. "In pieces." I left the area and headed further out until the worst damage thinned. The cracks in the buildings became shallower, the bodies less frequent. Normal hell noise slowly resumed around me. The pride ring had taken a heavy hit, but it was still alive. I lifted my head and looked toward where I knew the hotel stood. Even without seeing the building, I could feel the familiar energy in that direction. Charlie's emotional nonsense. Alastair's thin static. Angel Dust's restless filth. They had felt it. Lucifer's clash, my domain, the shake through the ring. They would be paying attention now. A faint tug of curiosity moved under my ribs. It was small, but it was there. I wanted to see their faces after this. I wanted to see how the princess looked when she knew her father had gone all out and still come back damaged. I turned my steps toward the hotel. The closer I got, the more intact the streets became. The shockwaves had reached here, but the structures had held. Some windows were cracked. A few signs had fallen. People pointed at distant smoke and talked in quick voices, but the area around the hotel was still basically whole. The Hazbin Hotel rose in front of me again, tall and cleaned up. Its signs still glowed. The pink light on it felt wrong in a way that amused me. I climbed the steps casually and pushed the doors open without knocking. The lobby was busy. Charlie stood near the center, pacing back and forth, wringing her hands. Angel Dust leaned on the couch's backrest, watching her with a frown. Husk sat behind the bar, a bottle in hand, ears twitching at every louder noise from outside. Nifty zipped back and forth, cleaning spots that were already clean. Alastair stood near the wall, cane resting under both hands, smile fixed in place. His eyes were bright, but there was a more alert edge in them. They all turned when I walked in. Charlie froze mid-step, her eyes widened. You're back." I smirked, surprised. Her gaze flicked quickly over me. I still had torn clothes from the fight. Blood stained my collar and jaw, some mine, some Lucifer's. My hair was dusted with ash. "You're hurt," she said. "I'm fine," I answered. Angel Dust let out a low whistle. "Somebody looks like they went through a blender," he said. "You have a fun time out there, kid." "Very," I said. Alastair's smile did not move, but the static around him picked up slightly. My, he said cheerfully. "You certainly left an impression on the neighborhood." The whole ring shook. "I was busy," I said. Charlie stepped closer, anxious. Did you see what happened? Everyone's talking about some huge explosion, and Dad ran off in a hurry, and then the ground shook and... I cut her off with a small wave of my hand. I fought him. The room went silent. Angel's eyes widened. Husk's hand paused halfway to his mouth with the bottle. Nifty stopped moving altogether, feather duster still raised. Charlie blinked. You fought who? Lucifer, I said. Your father. She stared at me, expression blank for a few seconds. Then her shoulders straightened and her voice came out tight. That's not funny. I'm not joking. Alastair's smile stayed, but his eyes sharpened. You mean to say you and our esteemed ruler engaged in direct combat? His tone sounded amused, but the static in his voice was sharper. Yes, I said. We tore up half a district. Charlie shook her head. No, he would. He wouldn't just fight like that. He doesn't even fight. He avoids fighting. He did not avoid this one, I answered. He hit me plenty. She looked like she wanted to deny it again, but something in her face changed. Through the front windows, the faint glow of distant smoke was still visible. Sirens still echoed somewhere far away. Her voice softened. Is he okay? He walked away, I said, bleeding but alive. She sagged slightly in relief, shoulders dropping. Her eyes tightened again almost immediately. Why would you do that? She demanded. Why would you attack him? He annoyed me, I said. That's it, she shouted. Her hands balled into fists. Her eyes started to shine, but she held back tears. I shrugged. He said I shouldn't be here. I wanted to see what he could do if he tried to stop me, so I hit him. He hit back. It was simple. Angel Dust let out a rough laugh. You picked a fight with Lucifer because he annoyed you. You got problems, man. You have no room to talk, I said. Angel rolled his eyes. Yeah, fair. Alastair moved a step forward. His polite smile was still wide, but his tone dropped slightly. You truly pushed him hard enough to cause that much damage. I used my domain, I said. Malevolent shrine. Alastair's eyes widened just a fraction. The static flickered. Domain. I nodded once. Area where my techniques always hit. Everyone inside dies unless they are strong enough. I covered a large part of the Pride Ring. He survived in it. Barely. Husk grumbled, voice rough. So you're the bastard who made my bottles fall off the shelf. He glared at me, then took another drink. Figures. Charlie stepped closer again, anger edging over worry now. Do you understand what you did? Demons live out there. You might have killed so many people. Good, I said. Her face crumpled for a second. She clenched her jaw, trying to hold herself together. How is that good? She asked quietly. Because I wanted to, I replied. Because this place exists to house filth. Losing some doesn't matter. She stared at me hard. They matter to me. Then you are wrong, I said. Her hands shook at her sides. Her voice came out strained. You're awful. I smiled. You invited me in. Angel looked between us with a tense grin. Okay, this is getting a little heated. Maybe we should all take a breath and... Stay out of it, Angel, Charlie snapped. Her tone was sharper than usual. He shut his mouth, surprised. Alastair cleared his throat lightly. Now, he said in his smooth way. Let us not let tempers overboil. Our guest has certainly caused a stir, but he also survived something most here could not even understand. His eyes glinted. I, for one, am very interested in that domain of his. I turned my head toward him. Of course you are. You like anything that causes chaos. He chuckled, static buzzing softly. You wow me, dear boy. I prefer the term entertainment. Charlie shot him a look. This isn't funny, Alastair. He replied with the same calm tone. I never said it was. It is, however, useful information. His eyes returned to me. You forced Lucifer to take you seriously. That fact alone will ripple. I don't care about ripples, I said. I care about strong opponents. Charlie shook her head. You fought my dad because you were bored. Yes, I said. You used some world-cutting thing in the middle of the city because you were bored. Yes. You killed demons because you were bored. Yes. Her shoulders rose and fell with one deep breath. She looked right into my eyes. For the first time, there was no naive brightness in her gaze, only strain and frustration. I can't redeem you, she said quietly. I smirked. You thought you could. I hoped, she answered. Her voice wavered slightly but did not break. But I don't think you want it at all. I already told you, I said. I asked about redemption because I was curious, not because I wanted it. She closed her eyes for a second, then opened them again. Then, why come back? Because, I said, I wanted to see your reaction after I beat your king bloody. Angel winced. Husk muttered something under his breath that sounded like a curse. Nifty bit her lip and looked down, hands twisting in her apron. Charlie's fingers dug into her dress at her sides. Is it fun? She asked, seeing me upset. Yes, I said honestly. You're interesting when you drop that fake smile. She flinched like I had slapped her. Alastair's grin shifted. For half a second I saw a sharper satisfaction in it, then it smoothed back to his usual cheer. He is certainly blunt, he commented. You brought him here, Husk said gruffly, looking at Alastair. This is on you. Alastair's eyes narrowed slightly. I did not bring him. He walked in on his own. I chuckled. He couldn't summon me if he tried. Charlie folded her arms, hugging herself. Her voice dropped. You fought my dad. You hurt him. You tore up half the ring. And you stand here and brag about it. Yes. She lifted her head again, anger flaring back. Then get out. The room went still. Angel raised his brows. Husk blinked. Nifty looked between us nervously. Even Alastair's eyes sharpened a fraction at her tone. You don't want me here? I asked. No, she said firmly. You're not here for help. You don't care about changing. You just hurt people and laugh about it. This is a hotel for redemption, not a playground for monsters who enjoy this. I laughed. You live in hell. And I'm trying to make it better, she shot back. You are failing, I said. Maybe I am, she answered, but I won't let you make it worse from inside my lobby. Her voice shook, but her stance did not. She meant it. My grin slowly faded to a smaller smile. There was something sharp in her eyes that I recognized. Stubbornness. She was weak compared to Lucifer, compared to me, compared to the overlords. But she still drew lines and held them. It was irritating. It was also slightly entertaining. So I should leave, I said. Yes, she said. Leave. Alastair raised a hand lightly. Now, Princess, perhaps we should not be so hasty. He is dangerous, yes, but also quite the... Alastair, she cut in, voice hard. I said no. He stared at her for a second. His smile stayed, but his eyes narrowed at the edges. As you wish, he said after a pause. Angel muttered. Holy shit, she shut the radio demon up. I looked at her one more time. Fine, I said. I'll go. This place bores me anyway. Hurt flickered on her face, but she held her ground. Good. I turned toward the door. Behind me, Angel called out, tone unsure. Hey, you gonna start another earthquake out there? Maybe, I said, if someone annoys me. Husk snorted, so yes. I pushed the doors open and stepped back into the street. The air outside felt slightly calmer than before, but tension still sat under it. Sirens continued in the distance. Overheads crackled with news. Demons talked in low voices on corners, glancing toward the direction of the damaged district. I looked up at the neon sign of the hotel once more, then down at my own hands. Blood had dried along the lines of my fingers. My knuckles ached pleasantly. Lucifer was somewhere above or below thinking. Overlords were whispering. The princess was shaking in her lobby. This hell had more left in it. I grinned and started walking again. Chapter 7. static on a leash. I did not go far. The hotel doors shut behind me, but I stayed in the neighborhood. I walked to the next block, then the one after, letting the noise of the building fade without really losing it. The glow of its sign still sat in the edge of my sight when I turned my head. Demons were clustered around corners, whispering about the destruction. Some looked toward the distant smoke. A few glanced nervously back toward the hotel, like the building might suddenly explode too. I leaned against a half-cracked lamppost and watched the front entrance from a distance. Inside, I could still feel them, Charlie's anxious, restless energy bouncing and shaky, Alastair's controlled static always measuring, Angel's mess of noise. It all hummed in the background, faint but clear. Charlie wouldn't come after me. She didn't have the spine for that kind of move yet. She'd cry, argue, and cling to her little project. Alastair wouldn't chase me right now either. He was too smart. He'd wait, think, and plot. So I stood there in the street for a while, doing nothing, letting the city move around me. A few lesser demons walked by and stared too long. One young-looking one with bright eyes and a stupid grin kept glancing between me and the hotel. He nudged his friend. Think he was in there with the princess. The friend shrugged. He looks like trouble. Maybe he started that quake earlier. I let my cursed energy rise just enough to press. Their knees buckled. Both dropped to the ground, heads bowed from instinctive fear. I looked down at them. Keep moving. Why, yes, sir, the first one stammered. They scrambled away on hands and feet before forcing themselves to stand again down the street. The small display gave a mild satisfaction. Nothing big, just a reminder that everything here reacted to strength. I pushed off the lamppost and started walking again, moving out of range of the hotel's glow. Staying too close was boring. Lucifer would be busy. The princess would sulk. Alastair would think. None of that interested me right now. I wanted something else to break. My mind shifted naturally to the overlords. I had already killed Rosie. I had already cut Vox once and left him sparking on a street. Valentino and Velvet had just watched that happen and done nothing. The V's had seen me, but they had not understood. Now they would have heard about Lucifer. I knew Vox from my past life's knowledge. Petty, vain, obsessed with screens and ratings, weak compared to the true kings but strong enough to matter, ambitious, and most importantly, obsessed with Alastair. That last part made him useful. Alastair was annoying in a good way. Calm, smiling, always playing host. Lucifer was a real fight, but neither was mine yet. They were busy with roles. Vox, though, was perfect. If I controlled him, I controlled every screen and signal in his territory. I could spread whatever noise I wanted. I didn't care about ruling hell, but I liked the idea of taking one of their flashy toys and putting a collar on him. The other two V's. They were decoration. I turned toward the side of the ring where I knew Vox held territory. Towers with screens, skyscrapers, neon noise. That was his domain. I started walking with purpose. The city gradually changed. Normal red brick structures and crooked shops gave way to tall, sleek buildings with glowing panels. Animated billboards played loops of shows and ads. Static hummed from every wall. Vox's emblem flashed on several large screens. That smiling face, all pixels and arrogance. Demons here moved faster, phones in their hands, eyes flicking between the street and screens overhead. Cameras angled down at every intersection. Loudspeakers occasionally barked announcements. Stay tuned for Vox News at the top of the hour. Overlord announcements pending. Do not panic. I could feel his energy more clearly here. It was built into the infrastructure, spread thin but present. A steady buzz, not unlike Alastair's static, but colder and more artificial. I smirked. There you are. I walked straight toward the tallest tower in sight. It was covered entirely in screens. The whole front was a moving image of Vox's own face talking into a camera, ranting about something, damage reports probably. His expression was livid, mouth pulled in a sharp line. As I got closer, the image glitched. For a second, his on-screen eyes flicked like he was looking around. Static ran across the entire facade. I stepped up to the front doors. Several suited demons stood guard. Their eyes flicked over my torn clothes, the blood, the relaxed posture. They clearly recognized something. One of them lifted his hand. "Stop! You can't come in without clearance." I looked at him and did not slow down. He tried again, tougher. "Hey," I said, "stop." "Cleave." His body split from shoulder to hip. The other guards froze as a fountain of blood painted the glass doors. I dragged a hand across my mouth and shrugged. Doors open enough now. The others broke. Two ran back inside. One tried to summon a weapon. I didn't bother with a technique this time. I stepped close, grabbed his face, and slammed his head into the wall hard enough to break bone. He slid down, dazed. I pushed the doors open. Alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed in the ceiling. A synthetic voice shouted something about security breach in the lobby. I walked through it, unconcerned. The lobby was full of sleek metal, screens, and sharp furniture. Employees shouted. Some ran. A few tried to call upstairs. A small squad of better-armed demons rushed in from a side door, weapons glowing. "Hands up," one shouted. "On your knees." I smiled and lifted my right hand instead. Fuga. The blast ripped through them. Their bodies hit walls, the ceiling, the floor. One survived the initial impact long enough to twitch. The sirens got louder. The screens on the walls flickered, switching to Vox's face. His eyes were narrowed. He looked pissed. "There he is," Vox's voice said through speakers. "That little shit's in my building." I waved at the nearest camera. "Come meet me then." Elevators were too slow. I chose the stairs. My legs carried me up flights at an easy, steady pace. Every few floors a security team tried to stop me. They died quickly. Cleave for groups. Dismantle for obstacles. Fuga for fun. By the time I reached the top floor, my hands were red to the wrists, and the stairwell walls were cracked from repeated impacts. The door at the top opened into a wide control room. Screens covered every wall, showing feeds from all over the Pride Ring. Vox's logo glowed everywhere. Consoles lined the room. Demons sat at some of them, frozen mid-gesture. At the center, on a slightly raised platform, stood Vox. He was taller than most, suit sharp, chest screen bright blue. Lines of tech and static ran along his limbs. Cables connected nearby towers to his systems. He radiated anger. Velvet lounged on a chair nearby, legs crossed, chewing gum. Valentino leaned against a pillar with a cigarette between his fingers, looking annoyed more than afraid. They all turned as I stepped in. Vox was the first to speak. "You've got to be fucking kidding me," he snapped, voice crackling through both his mouth and a dozen speakers at once. "You again." I grinned. "Miss me." His screen glitched, static rippling over his face. "You show up in my district, destroy my security, and walk into my control room like you own the place." "I will," I said. "That's why I'm here." Velvet rolled her eyes. He's cocky. He's kinda hot, though." Valentino snorted smoke. "He's crazy. You sure this is the same kid who sliced you earlier, Vox?" Vox's jaw flexed. "Yeah, that's him." His tone was tight. "Little bastard almost deleted me." He pointed a finger at me, static building. "You got balls walking back into my sight." I laughed. "You barely survived a casual hit. You don't get to bark at me." Velvet sat up, attention sharpened. "Wait, this is the one who hit Lucifer too, right? That quake earlier, everyone gossiping about some freak who fought the big dad upstairs." Valentino's smile dropped a notch. "That true?" I tilted my head. "Yes, I fought him, I cut him, I used my domain on his ring. He's still thinking about that." That quieted the room for a second. Velvet's gum almost fell out of her mouth. "Shit." Valentino straightened. His eyes behind the glasses narrowed. You fought Lucai and walked away. That's something. Vox's screen flashed faster. A mixture of fear and anger moved in his posture. Lucifer actually went all out. Almost, I said. I had to stop before the ring broke. He didn't. Vox's static hissed. His digital eyes twitched. He hid it behind a sneer. So what? You think that makes you untouchable in my tower? Yes, I said. He clenched his fists. You're in my home base. I control every inch of this grid. I can fry you 7 times over before you even flinch. Try once, I said. He did not hesitate. A wave of energy shot from every screen and panel at once. Beams of concentrated static and coded power slammed into my body, chest, shoulders, head. The room filled with light and white noise. I stood through it, feet planted, eyes half-lidded. My cursed energy flared to meet it. The blasts burned my clothes and skin, but they did not break through. When the flashes died, smoke drifted from the floor. I was still standing. I brushed some ash from my shoulder. That tickled. Velvet's jaw dropped. Valentino's cigarette almost slipped from his fingers. Vox's screen went dead black for half a second, then rebooted, expression twisted. You have got to be shitting me, he said. That was a full output pulse. I stepped toward him. You're weaker than Lucifer, way weaker. Don't flatter yourself. He snarled, glitching. Don't compare me to that outdated radio freak or the king. I run the network down here. I run half the ring. I don't need to be Lucifer strong to own you. Wrong, I said. I let more cursed energy leak out. The control room shook. Glass cracked. Consoles rattled. Several lesser demons in the back collapsed, clutching their heads. I stopped a few steps away from Vox, looking up at his screen face. You want to keep this tower. You want to stay alive. You want a chance to beat the radio demon. His attention sharpened at that last part. The screen flickered with a harsh blue spike. What did you say? You heard me, I said. Alastair, the one you hate, the one you can't surpass. I smiled faintly. Submit to me and I'll drag you past him. The entire room went quiet. Only the faint hum of cooling fans and distant alarms filled the space. Velvet leaned forward, eyes gleaming. Now that's interesting. Valentino flicked ash onto the floor, looking from me to Vox and back. You gonna take that deal, TV head? Vox stared at me, static flaring across his face. Anger, insult, and raw hunger warred behind his screen. His hands shook slightly at his sides. You think I'd bow to you, he said. I'm an overlord. I'm one of the V's. I don't kneel. You already did, I said, when my dismantle almost tore you apart in the street, when your pulse just now failed to drop me, when you heard I fought Lucifer and lived. I took another step until we were almost chest to chest, his screen inches from my face. You're already below me. All I'm offering is structure. His mouth twisted. You arrogant little. I lifted my hand fast enough that he barely processed the motion. Cleave. The cursed slash cut across his torso, not deep enough to delete him, deep enough to matter. His screen flickered violently. The tower's lights glitched. Several screens on the walls went black, then rebooted. Vox staggered, a glitchy groan escaping him. Golden white and digital-looking blood spilled, sizzling on the floor. The room filled with the scent of burnt circuitry and something sharp. Velvet jumped to her feet. Whoa, okay. Valentino straightened all the way, his easy lounge gone. His fingers tightened on the cigarette. Shit, that's not a normal wound. I watched Vox struggle to stabilize his form. He recovered in about 5 seconds, slower than Lucifer. He stared at me, breathing harder, static loud. I spoke calmly. I could have cut you in half again. I didn't. That's your proof. I want you alive. He glared, shaking. Why? Because a weapon that runs the screens is more useful than a corpse, I said. And because Alastair will hate seeing you under me more than he ever hated you standing alone. That hit something. His static flared red for a moment. I do not belong under anyone. You do under me, I said flatly. I'm not asking. I'm telling you how this is going to work. He stared for a long few seconds. His posture trembled, caught between pride and survival and obsession. Finally, he spoke through clenched teeth. If I say yes, if I let you boss me, his tone mocked the word, but it was weaker. What do I get? You get to live, I said. You get protection from anything below Lucifer. You get to keep your tower and your network. And you get a path to surpass Alastair. His eyes brightened just a little. How? I will train you, I said. I will show you how to handle cursed energy, how to toughen your body, not just your circuits. I'll push you up while I push everyone else down. He laughed once, harsh and disbelieving. You can't just slap your weird power into me and call it a day. I have my own systems, my own coding, my own brand. I don't care about your brand, I said. I care about results. You want to beat the radio demon or not? He clenched his jaw. Screens on the walls flickered between feeds of Alastair's face, static logos, and news reports about mysterious seismic event. Every time Alastair's smiling radio image popped up, Vox's screen darkened. His voice dropped. There's one condition. I raised an eyebrow. You think you're in a position to add them? He ignored that. He leaned forward, screen locked onto my eyes. You help make me stronger than Alastair, not just close, not just almost there. I want to crush him. I want no contest. You do that and I'll take your orders. I'll run your messages. I'll show this whole ring your face daily. I'll make your name ring louder than his across every channel. My grin returned. So you're admitting you'll serve, as long as you get your petty revenge. He spat static. Call it whatever you want, just deliver. I thought for a moment. Could I actually make Vox stronger than Alastair? Maybe, maybe not. It didn't matter now. I did not need to succeed immediately. I only needed Vox to believe it, to work for it, to strain under my pressure and grow some. And I knew this world's path. I knew extermination waves were coming, heaven, hell politics, all of it. Power would be needed. Watching him claw his way up under my heels sounded entertaining. I nodded once. Fine, I'll take that condition. His static froze. You will. Yes, I said. I'll shape you until you can stand above the radio demon. If you break before you get there, that's your fault, not mine. If you succeed, you'll still be below me. He swallowed that. Whatever. As long as he's under me, I don't care if someone's above. Velvet clapped slowly. So, what, you're making him your boss, Voxy? You gonna be his little static dog? He snapped. Shut up, Velvet. Valentino raised his brows, amused now. This is actually interesting. If you two pull it off, the ratings will be insane. I turned my head slightly toward them. You can stay in your roles, I said. I don't care about you. My gaze went back to Vox. You are the only one I want. Velvet pouted openly. Rude. Valentino laughed. Story of my life, babe. Vox shook off his anger long enough to straighten. He stepped closer again, right up to me. His voice steadied. Then we have a deal. You make me stronger than Alastair, and I acknowledge you as my boss. He grimaced on the last word. You say it now, I said. Out loud, so you don't forget. His screen glitched once. Then through clenched teeth, he forced it out. You're the boss for now. I nodded, satisfied. Good. I glanced around the room at the screens. First order. He tensed slightly. What? Spread the news, I said. Everywhere your signal reaches. Lucifer fought something in the Pride Ring and didn't win. An unknown power clashed with the king and walked away. You don't say my name yet. You just push the fear. He considered, then grudgingly smirked. Panic sells. I can work with that. Of course you can, I said. You're mine now. He scowled, but turned to his consoles and raised a hand. The towers hummed in response. Static surged through cables as he began rewriting the feeds. I watched him work, then turned my head toward the distant hotel direction again, even though I couldn't see it from here. Let Alastair feel the shift. Let Lucifer see the broadcasts. Let Charlie hear that her father had to struggle. This hell was starting to move. Chapter 8. Static under heel. Vox's tower hummed under my feet. Cables ran under the floor, through the walls, up into the ceiling. Every screen in the building carried his presence. Static sat under every surface. This was his nest. Now it was mine. He finished routing the first wave of fear broadcasts and leaned back from the console, screen face flickering with irritation and leftover pain. Velvet sprawled on a spinning chair, legs kicked over one arm, watching the data scroll with interest. Valentino smoked and watched me more than the screens. I stood in the center of the control room, arms folded, listening to the city react. On one wall, a feed showed a news anchor demon in a suit speaking quickly. Massive energy discharge in the Central Pride ring earlier today. Witnesses report seeing the king himself entering the scene. Buildings in a wide radius have been damaged. Casualty numbers still unknown. Rumors spread of a new Overlord-level threat. Some are calling him the Overlord of Destruction. I smirked slightly at that. Overlord of Destruction, huh? I said. They work fast. Vox's screen brightened in annoyance. Yeah, well, they saw what you did. You tore up more concrete in 10 minutes than an extermination wave does in hours. Of course they're gonna slap a label on you. I don't care what they call me, I said. Only that they understand who sits above them. Velvet swung her legs idly. Overlord of Destruction does sound badass, though, she said happily. Fitz, you kinda wrecked everything you touched. Valentino chuckled, smoke trailing from his mouth. Name, S on brand, he said. Big flashy, lots of bodies, everything broken. Yeah, hell eats that up. I looked at Vox. Good, push that name. I want everyone to know it. He snarled quietly but nodded. Fine, my network, my wording, your title. Overlord of Destruction, that's what the feeds will say. He crossed his arms. Now what? You didn't come here just for headlines. Correct, I said. I want information. You said you run half this ring. Prove it. He raised an eyebrow. On who? Everyone that matters, I said. Every overlord with a territory, every major sinner with weight, and heaven, every exorcist schedule, every pattern you've picked up from their little slaughter shows. Vox gave a short, humorless laugh. You don't ask for small things, do you? If it was small, I wouldn't be here, I said. He clicked his fingers once. Panels on the main wall shifted. Several feeds merged into a large grid. Names and logos popped up. All right, he said. Here's the layout. Overlords first. You already know me, Velvet Valentino. You killed Rosie, so she's scrubbed. That shook some circles. He tapped a line. Carmilla Carmine runs the Carmine district. Weapons, smuggling, old money, old blood. One of the strongest. I respect her. She's mad as hell about the shockwaves that hit her shipments. An image of Carmilla appeared. Red suit and tired eyes, talking sharply to underlings in one feed. She has some brains, I muttered. She can think. Yeah, Vox said. And Zestial. Another square zoomed on the tall winged demon in the stadium, arms folded, watching fights. Pure power, minimal interest in anything else. I pick up his energy whenever he stretches. You pinged close to his level on some sensors during your little show with Lucifer. I grinned a little wider at that. Good. Vox went on. Other overlords, lesser ones. We got Velvet's territory over here. She runs media, fashion, image, social nets. She's everywhere you don't look and everything you see. Velvet blew a kiss at the camera version of herself. Hi, babe, she said to her own image. Valentino runs Vice, Vox continued. Drugs, porn, black market bodies. His grip's messy but tight. His contacts reach deep into low rings. Valentino tipped his hat with his cigarette. Flattered, he said dryly. Vox switched to another layout. Then you've got the old guard, harder to pin down. Some names, some rumors, not all of them like being seen. I get trace signals, cross-reference, make maps. That's what you're buying when you own me. You're not bought, I said. You're mine. He clicked his teeth. Same difference. Show me heaven's side, I said. He hesitated for a second, then switched feeds. The color palette changed. Less red, more bright white and sharp contrast. Shots of exorcists descending on previous extermination days. Static logs of energy patterns. After last extermination, Heaven tightened their transmissions, Vox explained. They don't stream like before, but they still send signals down to coordinate. My systems sniff what they can. Several charts appeared, spikes on regular intervals. Right now, he said, the pattern is tense.